This Burros of Berea Testimonies episode is brought to you by the Jim Beaver Band. Check out their latest album on Facegram. Now onto the show.
The Burros of Berea is a conversational podcast. We study the Bible and we talk about it. Not all of us are of the same faith, and one of us doesn't actually have a faith.
And that's wonderful. We all love one another, and we're going to continue to talk about these things.
The things we believe in and the things we believe about what we read in the Bible. Not all of these are necessarily true. Some of it is opinion and speculation. Thank you for
listening and speculating with us.
There you go. That was good. Yes.
You are listening to the Burros of Berea.
All right, well, welcome back to the Burros of Berea. I am Rick Welch, and to my left is Billy Eye Candy Kimsey.
Tone like a tub of marshmallow fluff.
That's
nice. Did
Heavy
you say
on the
tone?
fluff.
Yeah, toned.
Yeah. Heavy on the fluff.
Yeah, because I think Reese's for that, because they cover, they have pumpkins, footballs, trees, hearts, and now eggs. So like 6 months of Reese's shapes. So I've been bulking up.
I wonder if they do one for Ash Wednesday.
Notice he was looking at my stomach when he said that.
And they sell them in 6-packs, so go figure.
And we got Ralph Wooderson Hicks.
Represent.
See?
Ralph.
Wooderson. That's the name of the guy that says, all right. That was his name.
All right.
And to my right, I got Cherry the Annihilator Lewis.
Hello.
We got to come up with something better than that.
Hello. I don't know. It's kind of fun to go from the Annihilator to hello.
You got to understand.
Behind the glass.
Real slick.
Yes, behind the glass, we got
This
Rocket
is
Man and
North
Andy
Park.
Bishop.
As it
Yes,
were.
that's right.
One day I'll come up with something cooler than that. I always
We
feel
say it
goofy.
every time. It's never going to get cooler
No, it's
than
never
that.
going to change.
Well, this is the second episode of our testimony series, and we have a special guest here, one of my good friends, Michael Spears.
Hello.
It's so nice to have you here, Mike.
Hey.
Thank you.
I'm excited to hear this, man. I don't actually know your testimony at all.
Really?
None. We've never talked about it, so I can't wait to hear
excited.
it. And so just to give you a little bit of background, when I started doing filmmaking, as a matter of fact, the first time I ever heard about Michael Spears, I was at Charles and Betty Hinn's anniversary, their 40th anniversary, and you weren't there. You and Christina weren't there because you were filming the 48-hour film project.
That we were.
And I was like, oh, so intrigued because I was just getting into filming at the time. And so then we started Still Waters, and then Mike came on and did all the cinematography, and it was a great looking movie. It really was.
Thank you. It was
So
awesome.
much better than most of which.
Go ahead and grab that thing and pull it right up to your teeth there.
Right up to
Yeah,
my
just
teeth.
take a bite of it.
Yeah.
Hello.
There
yeah.
we go.
Is that better?
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like my voice gets deeper whenever I'm, hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
It happens. Yeah. So anyway,
This is how I always talk.
so yeah,
I
so
feel like Batman right now.
with this whole group that's actually here, I guess minus Cherry for the film, Andy did sound, and then Ralph, did you do any filming?
I did a little bit of
Ralph-
everything.
Ralph
I
shot
did some filming,
film,
yeah.
filming,
We
he
did
did
that
some
out
acting.
at the lake. And
You did the vignette. You edited the one vignette.
Yeah.
Yep. And then of course Billy let us use the USS Bazinga.
Mm-hmm. The
Yep.
bazinga
So
for that.
And then when we were in Witch, Billy let us use his mill, and then you shot that really cool long scene. You remember that long scene you did, Mike?
that was
That was
great.
a blast.
That was a good
yeah,
one.
I remember that scene because
You were there that
we had
night,
to do
that's
that
right.
whole the sound had to do the whole dance
The
out of
run.
the way. That was a really fun scene to shout because of that, because sound was all
Yeah.
you had to stay because we were using a boom for anybody that knows, not lavs. So I had to for an entire shot where the camera did 360s around people, I had to be out of the shot the entire time with the boom, but moving the boom to whoever was speaking and all that. So
It
it was
was
a
a lot of
practice
fun.
shot.
That
It
was
was
awesome.
neat. That was fun.
Yeah, he started us at practice before the sun went down, and remember they had the kids running. They ran 40 times. By the time we shot the scene, they knew it. They knew the scene, but they were all panting.
And I kept telling them over and over, just one more. Just one
just
more.
one.
That's how this shit works, man. That's the right way to do it.
That's right.
It is.
Yep. And then, Mike, you and I also we shot that little vignette that's in the middle of the play. The what is the name of the play? Tell me that
Passion
story.
Play.
The Passion Play. Yeah, we shot that where Jesus was scourged, and it was like so bloody.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff.
I do.
So, just out of curiosity,
All right.
can you tell me like when your earliest memory of hearing about Jesus was?
Okay, I would say it was whenever I had two Sunday school teachers that were really awesome. One was Miss Lingren and one was Miss Morgan. Now, Miss Lingren, she had a dog. Check this out. She had a dog that she would say something and then the dog would actually bark like it was talking. So imagine learning about Jesus with that. It's like, hey, is Jesus good? And the dog, that was awesome. And Miss Morgan, she was actually a karate instructor. So, nothing's cooler than sitting there learning karate moves also while learning about Jesus,
Yeah.
I love you, brother. Here's a smack to the face.
Hey, turn the other cheek.
Yeah, exactly. So it was cool. That would be my first memories. And then, of course, going to revivals and things like that, going to other people's churches. At that point, my dad was a, Southern gospel singer. So we were in, you name it. We were in churches all around from here all the way to South Carolina.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you've heard, so pretty much since you were born, were you pretty much born into the church or?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was very blessed in that aspect.
Yeah. So
Very
what about salvation?
I was 14. We were actually going to a place called Fort Bluff, Tennessee, which I don't know if anybody knows about that. It's kind of like where York and all that different stuff from, I think it's World War II. Pretty cool things. But I remember the preacher that was up there preaching, he was actually a comedian. And so about midway through, he's doing his whole act and all that different stuff. I'm sitting there, I'm cutting up with my friends, passing notes, the whole entire shebang. And next thing I know, he just kind of switched the script on us, and he's like, starts talking about heaven and hell. And I remember as a kid, I'd heard all that stuff before a million times. I mean, I just told you, grew up in revivals and stuff. I heard it all the time. And for some reason, it affected me a lot different at that point in my life than it did whenever I was a kid. And so I remember I was, that old school thing that they always talk about, your hands are on the back of the chair, the white knuckles. And I was doing that. And I can remember still to this day, my buddy that was sitting next to me, he was trying to elbow me for me to laugh with him and talk with him. And I was just focused on what he was saying. And I knew that he was talking about me. And so, of course, I get up and I went over to at the time, he was our youth pastor. And he was like, I already know why you're up here. And, of course, I knelt down, all that different stuff. He was still up there preaching. There was no altar call. There was nothing like that. It was just I knew right then and there I needed to get things right with the Lord. And so that's what I did.
Yeah. So
14 years old.
yeah,
Wow.
14.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I've heard a lot of that from these testimonies. Like sometimes, people always think that the preacher's talking to them directly.
Yes.
And you find out that, his message is touched 30 people,
Yeah,
and they're all thinking that you're talking about me. I know you're talking about me.
Yeah,
It seems
exactly.
like that's the way conviction works on somebody's heart, right?
That is the way that it worked for me. That's for sure.
So let's say from the age of 14 up to the present, try to, walk me through your life. Tell me, has it been perfect and wine and roses since that happened?
No.
Okay.
No. Matter of fact,
do you have the life of Andy Bishop?
It's not bad. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not rich, but
oh gosh,
That's funny.
it's not been hard either.
So basically, whenever I was 14, of course, when you first get saved, you get really on fire for the Lord. I mean, that's just how it goes. Everything, you want to read more, you want to pray more, you want to do all the different stuff. But things happen in life. Little things here and there kept getting to me. And so I started hanging out with some friends of mine that we went to school together and we formed a band. Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with the band in the beginning, but as all, musicians can kind of tell you sometimes, it starts to get to, like I said, I was about 16 and we started playing a lot together, doing a lot of heavy metal, things like that. And then drugs got involved. Mm-hmm. By the time I was 16, I was already smoking. And it was just a really strange time in my life because I was still going to church and none of those people knew what I was doing. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like I was living a double life is what was happening. And so it was eating me for the longest time. And then I would say about 17, it turned from just being in a band to now I was helping sell those drugs. Mm. and I was going to church less and less. And so the thing that really kind of changed me a lot from the drugs was I was at a house, or an apartment at this time. And the people that I was living with, they were moving lots and lots of drugs and things like that. And so I was helping out, doing all that different stuff. Well, one evening I went over to another apartment and was hanging out with some other friends, and I came back around and I walked in the door, and it was known as a party house. So there's nobody there. You can't hear anything. Nothing's going on. But I thought I heard somebody whimpering, like, all that different stuff. And I'm like, well, that's weird. So I walked back into the kitchen. Next thing I know, I hear, pow! And it was upstairs. And I turn and I look upstairs, and, I see the doorway and all that different stuff. And I kind of back up a little bit. Next thing I know, I hear a couple people running down the stairs. And next thing I know, this guy's standing from me to you right now, which is, 3 feet. And he had a pistol right in my face, and I'll never forget him clicking, and it didn't go off. And I would love to sit there and tell you, oh, well, that's the moment that, changed my life and all that different stuff. But really, it escalated even further from then. Whenever I was 18, 19,
So what's that guy? Was that a threat, or was he intending to kill you?
Yeah, he was trying to shoot me. He was trying to kill me.
H. Yeah, you wouldn't forget that, would you?
No, I can see his face, everything. It was bad. My brother actually came and got me out of there and was like, look, you can't live there no more. I mean, there was cops, there was firemen, It was wild, man. I mean, it makes me wonder, how in the world did I go from the 14-year-old kid who was wanting to serve the Lord to now I'm in a drug house and somebody's pointing a gun at me and shooting me. Trying to shoot me, I guess.
Can I ask you a question about that? Sure. So during that time, like, did you have things like in the back of your mind at any point that was kind of like, hey, you're on the wrong path. Hey, what's going on? Do you have any of that going on, or was that all like wiped out?
No, you definitely have that on your mind in different areas. However, that sin pulls way too hard. Mm-hmm. It just pulls all the time. For me, it was music, girls, and drugs. So the moment I would sit there and say, you know what, call your dad, he'll come get you, he'll take you home, all that different stuff. Knock on the door. There's I've never seen this girl before. Mm-hmm. Hi, how are you? And it was just amazing. Like I said, at 14, wanted to do this, and in 2 years, 2.5 years, I was a totally different person. And so eventually, I wound up meeting my wife, Christina. She's awesome. Mm-hmm. Love her.
She is.
Yeah, we all love her.
She kind of calmed me down a little bit. Just a little bit. I mean, just a little bit. And then, of course, we had our daughter. I was about 21. We were real young when we had our daughter. And then I really calmed down. Once again, you would think, hey, this is where, he's about to tell the story about how everything started getting a little bit better. But that's not the case. Not only did I blame them for, like I said, eventually I was wanting to be a rock star. And so I thought, well, man, now that I'm married, I can't do the rock star lifestyle. Now that I have a kid, I can't be out at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I can't do this. So it turned into bitterness, and it turned in bitterness towards my wife. And still this day, I'm still having to make up for some of the stuff that I did as a young married man with a kid. Now, granted, it wasn't all bad. There was,
Sure.
certain things, but I just was not a very good person to be with during my 20s, for sure. And my daughter had to see things and witness things that no kid should have to. And all the while, how we were just talking a few minutes ago, I still had praying parents that would, oh man, you talk about annoying though. Yeah. It's amazing now, but back whenever you're going through all this, it's like, I don't care that you're praying for me. I was on this pathway of like, I just don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore. I just don't care. Apathy was that was my life. And so then, mid-20s, probably into the 30s, that's whenever I started getting into film. I kind of did the whole thing of, well, I'm never going to be a rock star, so maybe I can at least hang out with them and video them, take photos, do stuff like that. So the whole time, it was almost as if I was just trying to fill that void that only God could fill. And so that's what I did, man. I started doing music videos, things like that, and before I knew it, I might not have been doing the heavy drugs and things anymore, but now I was an alcoholic. I mean, that's really all I was doing, was just drinking constantly. And so eventually that even came to a head. One night I remember I was out in the garage and we were sitting there, and we had just got done from going to a local bar and all that different stuff. And I was extremely inebriated. And the only thing that I remember is waking up the next morning, and, you know, I have white sheets and all that different stuff. It was just covered in blood. And so I get up and I'm, you know, first initial reaction is I look, where's my gun at? You know, so I'm looking down just like that, and my gun's gone. I'm going, oh my God, there's no way you just done something stupid and some sort of thing like that. You know what I mean? And it turned out that the night before, a guy had just got mad and basically beat the snot out of me. And they actually let me go back and look at the video of this guy doing this to me. I went back to the bar and they let me see it. And that's really, I would say, the first time that when God started really going, what you doing with your life? What are you doing? Because I love my daughter. I love her. I love my wife and all that different stuff. And I couldn't imagine, because I had become an alcoholic. I'd turned all this other stuff about the Lord away, all that I would get to a point where I'd put myself in a position to where I could have died and she would have grown up without a dad because I liked Jameson. Right. I mean, that was the beginning part. So, long story, throughout all these different stories that you're hearing, I worked for a pest control company with my dad and all that different stuff. I was very blessed once again in that, because most other places I'd have been fired 1,000 times. Matter of fact, I was fired a couple times by my dad, but
Yeah.
but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, he wound up selling the business, which then that was like, wait a minute, that's what I've done my entire life, you know. It's not like I'm going to go join another big company or I'm going to go do this, and that. And so what happened is I basically just went in a rabbit hole. And that's when you and I were actually hanging out. And even you, man, whenever you would sit there and say something to me about the Lord, you know, the Lord can change your life, Michael. It bothered me to the core when you'd say that, because 1, I knew you were right. 2, I didn't want to hear it from you. And 3, I wanted to get away from anybody who kept mentioning the Lord. I didn't want to be around it at that point. The conviction was so heavy, I moved out of state. A lot of people are, oh, well, why did you move out of state? Why'd you do that? I wanted to get away from my parents telling me they're praying for me. I wanted to get away from my, family telling me they were praying for me. So I started a pest control company in South Carolina. Everything was going great. Got the wife down there, kids down there. Everything's going good. Business is going good. But there was still something missing. And this is what's so amazing to me. I love hunting. I've always been a hunter, all that different stuff. I'm sitting in a tree stand. And next thing I know, like I said, everything's going great. The Holy Spirit was going, why don't you just come on home? Why are you running? And I just remember sitting there going, you know what? No. And then by the end of it, I wound up getting out of that tree stand. And I knelt down there on the ground. And I said, God, if you'll use me, whatever you have me do, I'll do it. And so since then, I've basically just been doing stuff around our local church, things like that. I work a lot with the youth group. Love doing that. We just got done from going to Winter Jam. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. That's the headliner was Skillet. That was pretty cool. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing now. And then, of course, whenever I seen your post on Facebook and everything, I was like, man, I'd love to give a little bit of my testimony. And I mean, this is the shorter version of it. I mean, we could go for hours, but
yeah. What about so back during those rock times, and whenever Maddie was first born, and when you get into those dark places, sometimes you see things that you can't explain. Did you ever have any kind of moments like that in your life where, like you said, you heard the bang bang up, whenever you were in the drug house or whatever, but did you ever get around things where you're like, it felt like the opposite of what God would want, it was like, it was really dark?
There wasn't a moment I wasn't around. Yeah. It's all like that. And I know that might sound a little bit harsh and all that different stuff, but the truth is it all was. Yeah. There was never, it was all the direct opposite of God. Mm-hmm. All of it. There was never a moment that I can remember that I was hanging out with a metal band or even a country band, or it was all the same thing: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Yeah. It boiled down to those 3 things. Even think about most of the songs that are out there. It either has to deal with some sort of drugs, alcohol, sex, different stuff like that, or violence. And so, no, there was never really any time that I can say that I wasn't. I knew the whole time, and that's what is extra hard now that where I'm at in my life. It's kind of like how Paul talks about, I feel like I have a debt now, and I do. I have a debt to do everything that the Lord wants me to do. Like going on a podcast.
By the way, he drove up here almost from Charleston, so and that's a good distance, to get up here close into Hendersonville. So I really appreciate you going that far.
I'm glad that you're around, because I've seen you around Maddie, and I got to tell you that there ain't anybody who loves their kid more than you love your kid, and she loves you. And
thank you.
When we were filming that little short that she put together and everything,
Yep.
she was so proud when you were talking to her about it and everything, and she was just so proud that she was pleasing you. So I'm glad that you did too.
Thank you.
Which one was that? Which short? Not the one she won the award on.
No, let's see. Which one are we talking about? The one where she fell into the hole?
Well, when we were all together, we all did little snippets, and she did a little snippet there.
Yeah, I remember she won. We had the contest. Remember?
Yep.
And she won the $100.
Yep.
It was actually a pretty good little short.
She
Yes, she really did. She did a great job.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, she still does a little bit of video work, believe it or not.
Really?
She does.
How old is she now?
She is 15. She's actually driving, so it's extra.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah,
Terrifying.
I got one of those at home.
Yeah, we don't. That's a whole nother podcast once again.
Yeah. So, like you said, some of the things that you were doing back then. We have a lot of listeners that actually have children,
Right.
that are in their teens, into their 20s, that are struggling with very similar things like you are. And
Right.
you had 2 praying parents, and I think a lot of these parents, that's all they've got. Like they feel like the only thing they can do is pray. Do you
Right.
think, is there anything else? Like, what could somebody have said to you back then? Do you think that could have reached you? Do you know?
That's a hard one, because there was a lot of people that were still trying to reach me, and I still, if somebody's determined they're going to do what they want to do, the Holy Spirit's got to be the one to really get a hold of them. So, with that being said, read your Bible in front of your kids. Love each other in front of your kids. Pray with dinner time, anytime you can, before you go to bed. Pray with your kids as much as you can. When they see stuff like that, it'll help out in the long run. That's about the best advice I can give on that. Make sure you get them in a church. That's really where you go.
And don't give up on them. Keep praying for them.
Never give up.
Keep praying for them.
Exactly. I agree.
And you don't want to, I always felt like you don't want them to feel like, well, you're bad, and so I'm going to be doing all this good stuff for you. Like, I always feel like if you're in the trenches with them, or if you let them know that I've been there, maybe I haven't been down the same path that you've had, but I've definitely been on the side where you are,
Right.
that I'm right here, and it's hard to talk honestly, especially with a parent. Like, I don't want
Right.
to tell my parents the stuff that I did when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to talk about that, but
Yeah. When my parents listen to this, they're going to do the same thing. Oh,
that's not even,
Yeah.
no way.
yeah.
He's making stuff
That's
up.
why we was praying for him.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Well, what are you doing now? Like you said you were like teaching classes and stuff, or what are,
Well, right now, of course, I still own the pest control company, all that different stuff. But the church that I go to, I'll tell you what, you want to get excited for the Lord, be around some teenagers that want to serve God.
Yeah.
They're on fire, man. I mean, it's kind of like you drop a pencil, let's pray about it. You know what I mean? It's awesome. I love it, man. And so they just haven't really been fully hit with all the things in life yet. Now, don't get me wrong, the schools are crazy right now, but I love the fact of that they're just excited to serve the Lord, and they want to do something. That's just so cool to me, and that's really what I've been doing. We do a Bible study every Friday night, and that turned out we had maybe 4 people in the beginning, and now we're averaging 30, 40 people
Wow.
every Friday night. Yeah,
that's awesome.
it's great. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you do any of the teaching?
Yeah. We've actually switched up a few things. What we did is we're actually having some of the teenagers and some of the young adults, all that different stuff. What they're doing is they're doing a study, And for the first 10 minutes, they'll go through and they'll share with the rest of everybody that's there. And it's really cool to hear their perspective on it too as well. You'll learn some really cool stuff. And then I do what's called cleanup. At the end of it, I'll go through whatever I've studied, and, we'll pray, all that different stuff, eat, and just have a good time.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
You should come down sometime.
Just say when.
All right, cool.
Swansea?
Listen,
Man.
It's smaller than Brevard. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
you don't want Rick teaching.
Yeah.
I'm not teaching anybody.
Like 4 hours.
Yeah.
What is it I say?
It's like Gilligan.
I just want to get to this last point. It'll only take a sec.
Just one more minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I mean, I really appreciate you making your trip up here.
Thank you.
It was a long trip,
I
but
had a blast.
yeah, we have a little, we have that history together, and I don't know if you know just how much, there have been people that have been saved from seeing those films, which is
awesome.
Bizarre to me, because those films are weird, but people that they could just relate to it, and they ask and, lead them to the Lord. It's unbelievable. I mean, God can use anything.
You better believe it.
And he will.
Yep.
You just have to be a willing vessel.
Exactly.
I
agree.
So do it. But, well, I guess that's it for this testimony. Unless you have anything you'd like to add. Anybody got any questions for him?
Anybody?
What band were you in? What did you do?
It's kind of funny. If you remember the production company we had, we were actually called Built to Fall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's where the name came from.
That's where the name
came from. That's a cool name. I figured it was just a film thing because it's so appropriate for a film production company Built to Fall because, everything's a facade.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I asked you.
He gets it.
Yeah, but I asked you, I said, did you name it that because of Adam? Do you remember me? I
do remember you.
Because I thought, like Adam was built to fall.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I probably.
Well, that's yeah.
What response did I give to that?
No.
Did I just walk away?
You said no.
Oh, I just said no. Wow.
You were like, no, man. He's like, we do a lot of things and we blow them up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
we set a guitar on fire at the sawmill. Remember that video we shot down there?
I do remember that.
Was he there? Were you talking about the styrofoam turtles?
Yeah.
Were you there?
I was there.
That's right. We lost the footage.
We lost the footage.
We did. We lost the footage.
Yeah. I've done that once. It made me, I didn't talk to him for a month. I avoided his calls.
It was my wedding, bro.
Oh, man.
Oh, that deserves a rim shot.
I had 3 cameras and the main camera was nonstop. We lost the disc.
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's got a spotty footage.
Oh man.
He didn't talk to me, and I reach out to him and there's no answer.
How you doing?
Like, what's up? Like, what's happening, man?
I've only been depressed once in my life. That's it.
I bet.
Nah. Anyway, are you going to do any more filming, you think, or are you done?
I hope so, because you're a great cinematographer.
Dude, seriously.
I'm serious.
One of the best. I'm not kidding.
Absolutely.
He took that little piece of crap TI camera and made it milky sweet on the screen. It was awesome.
He has an eye.
He does.
I'll put it to you this way. If the Lord leads me to do it, I'll do it. Now, we did have a youth event. It was 2 or 3 weeks ago where they called it Crossroads. It was really cool. They had a speaker come in, all that different stuff. And I did do a little bit of video work there. Not much. I was actually teaching somebody how to do video work. But
well, if anybody wants to see some of Mike's cinematography, you can go on to YouTube and search Tacky Tie Films Still Waters, and it'll come up. It's free on YouTube now. It's got over 67,000 views.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I thought was weird.
Yeah.
And remember I told you we have 1,400 thumbs downs because I told that, and Andy was like, you made it, bro. Like, people hate your film. You made it.
people hate your film.
It's better than The Room.
Yeah.
Well,
I stand behind it. I don't have 1,400 thumbs downs on anything collectively in my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was COVID. Evidently, everybody was out for COVID, and they watched the film, and then 1,400 of them thought it stunk. So I made it. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get on there and try to get up to 1,500.
Those are rookie numbers. We need to bump them up.
Yeah. We need to get on up there.
Yeah, but if you want to see that cinematography, because I remember at first I thought when I was working with you, Mike, is that it was going to be like all of the explosions and the blood and all that stuff. But there really wasn't a whole lot of blood in still waters.
No.
But the first time I filmed with you was over at the house in Hooper's Creek at Lindsay Loop.
Yep.
It was Alice's grandfather's house at the time. And like you were throwing the keys and catching that scene and then watching her read the Bible and watching her face and the way that I was like, man, this looks like a movie. We're making a movie and I'm like, this looks like a movie, Yeah, but I learned a lot from you. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I learned a lot from you too.
I don't know. Not filming, you didn't. But anyway. Well, Mike, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate you making the trip up here. And if anybody out there, reaches out, I'll send them your way, honestly,
Cool.
if they have any more questions for you.
I'd be glad.
Absolutely, we'll do that.
Tell the girls we said hi.
I most definitely will. I will.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, thanks, Billy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy.
I mean, really.
Good job, Billy.
Billy, thank you
Billy.
so much.
Thank you.
That marshmallow tone,
Fluff.
Ralph, appreciate it. Andy,
Yes, sir.
Jerry, Mike. Yep. You guys have a good one. We'll talk to you next time on the Burros of Berea.
See ya.
Bye.
What is it the actors always say? Tip of the tongue. So she says, I'm not even sure everyone on the podcast knows what that means. Looking at you, Andy.
I missed the first half.
Like he wouldn't.
She says, I'm excited over these coffee mugs because they are from one of my favorite podcasts, the Burros of Berea. Why do I enjoy this podcast so much? Well, firstly, the folks are fellow North Carolinians. They discuss topics of faith, including some mind-blowing hermeneutics, and I'm not even sure everyone on the podcast knows what that means. Looking at you, Andy.
To be fair, she's right.
I've got it. I've got it highlighted here for you, my friend.
Highlight. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just pretty cool. She took pictures with her mugs and put
Cute.
it up on the
that's
Burros
so
page.
cute. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.